What up, man? It's your boy Vigilante Styles, man, and I'm mixing this song for my buddy here. His name is Guy Yann VECTOL. I think I'm saying his name correctly. It's actually one of my viewers. Yay, somebody finally sent something in, right? So we're gonna mix this song. We're doing it for him. It's called Inside. So I listened to the tracks before I started this. Because sometimes when people send me tracks, you know, there was a process that I was going to do, but I don't think I need to do it. I think that I'm kind of feeling like, I think he came from one of my Harrison Mixbus videos. So I'm thinking that he's done his production probably within Harrison Mixbus. The sounds sound really, really good. Like very, very, they already kind of sound warm too. So I feel like, in this case, I'm not going to have to do too much to these sounds. I'm going to balance them out. I'm going to put my own ideas behind it. But you guys who've been keeping up with what I've been doing, I'm doing a virtual SSL console. That's all I'm doing. I mean, I'm not reinventing the wheel. I'm not trying to come up with my own fucking way of doing things. I'm just going to mix on an SSL and call it a day. And I can't think of a better one than a 4000E. I know other people like the 9000J. I'm sorry. I think it just sounds it's too bright and too brittle for my taste. It sounds good, but I really, really like the ability, the fact that I can push, I can drive things a little harder and get some harmonics out of it. I don't know, I'm a harmonics junkie. But but I do want it to be still clean, right? So here's how I had it set up. I'm in Studio One for Harrison Mixbus users. Why am I using Studio One? Because I want to do my SSL setup. It is what it is. I know that SSL bought Harrison consoles now, so maybe they're going to have a SSL mix bus one day. It's something I talked about in one of my other videos. And if they do, I'm going to be on that, guys. Well, maybe. It depends. If they can give me the sound that I'm getting here with that, then I'll just go to that, because I would probably prefer to have that console layout. Otherwise, I'm just going to do it like this, which is kind of a Studio One has kind of like a Reaper style layout. But I like the fact that they automatically color coordinate things for you. I think the stock plugins are great and stuff. I think my last video I used the stock plugins, and I got a really great sounding mix. But at the end of the day, I come back and I go, I really, really miss my Brainworks console. I do. And I love it, and it has a sound that I really, really like. I don't know why. It just is what it is. So that's how I'm going to mix things. So I have it set up right now. We're going to start with drums. Apparently, this inside here is his drums. Then we'll check out some of this. We'll go to the bass. I normally start with drums and then I go to the bass, because you want to work out those drum and bass frequencies first, especially on the kick drum and the bass. You want to work those out first because you don't want them clashing or sounding, shitty or whatever. You want to make sure you have that right, and then you can go work, like on snares and hats, and then I finish working the drums. Then I go to other instruments from there. We got violins. We got all sorts of shit in here, man. Also, I loaded up on here on Post Fader the phase correlation meter, so now we have one of those. Spectrometer. And another thing that I did, something that you didn't see in the other videos, is I've assigned right here the meter here by right clicking. I'm using a K14 meter. So look, I might not be using Harrison Mixbus, but I learned a lot of shit from Harrison Mixbus, and I've done it in here. But I'm also getting an SSL sound, which is, a classic SSL sound, which is, I love that sound. So it is what it is. It's still relatively clean sounding. It's just has a little bit of character that I really like, that I really feel makes it sound like a record. So with that in mind, I can rant about shit all day long. Actually, I am going to rant a little bit now that we're on the ranting idea. So I watched Mixbus TV, right? I'm not talking shit about him. Yes and no, right? And I'm not afraid to name names and stuff, because it's my personal opinion, and First Amendment, I live in the U.S. I can say whatever the fuck I want. I'm not defaming him in any way. You could definitely go and look at his videos and clearly see that I'm not talking shit. But I agree with him, though. I disagreed on one thing. I think he said something a while back about where I had said, an old process that they used to do is recording through a Neve console, mixing on an SSL, and he's like, not really. And I'm like, okay, well, whatever. Don't need the asshole-ish response, right? You know, about that. But it is what it is. And you come to find out they did do that, right? Like Nirvana, Nevermind was done that way, track through a Neve console and then mix on an SSL 4000E. I think Rage Against the Machine, I think their album was done that same way. So, I mean, I don't know why he could tell me some shit like that. Like, whatever, it is what it is. And then the next thing, he made a video recently. Go check out his video, as a matter of fact. He made a video recently talking about summing. Do you need it? Digital summing is perfect. It is. Now, here's my thought about this. Digital summing is perfect, but perfect sucks. Let me tell you why that is. Human ears do not we find things to be unnatural when they're too perfect, right? We understand that there's randomness. We understand that there's non-linearities, and we've come to like that. It sounds natural. That's why we're sitting there going, well, okay, we have digital, we don't have distortion, we don't have crosstalk, we don't have none of that shit, and now we're like, we want it back. Right? We want it back because that was the sound of that console. That's what made the music sound a certain way that we've loved. Right? They had to work within those nonlinearities, and as a matter of fact, they took those nonlinearities and used those nonlinearities and took what was something that was considered disadvantageous. So you would talk about something like the console manufacturers trying to get rid of that shit. And then engineers, on the other hand, said, you know what? No, I like it. That's why I buy the old gear. This is why I buy this old Fairchild 670. Why do I buy that? Because just simply passing the audio through, it's giving it a really nice character. It gives a good texture to the sound. And then they're kind of like, what? You know, you shouldn't want that, right? You're buying it for a compressor, right? It needs to compress and not add extra shit to it. Well, we like that extra shit. That's what I was trying to say. So they talk about, do you need a summing box? You don't need one, no. But do you want one? Sure. And does it make your mixes sound better? Yeah, it does, because it's giving you harmonics. If you want to buy a summing box. In this case, I don't need a summing box. I have Studio One and I have Brick Console. Right? There's my summing box, guys, because what is the summing box providing? Drive, noise, and crosstalk on every channel. That's what I want. In this case, this one is modeled after an SSL 4000. It's on vintage style. It's modeled after an SSL 4000. So this is the drive, the noise, the crosstalk of an SSL 4000. I want that. And on top of that, because I have the Brainworks console in here, I also have tolerances on each channel. So you put that together and a little bit of harmonics in the channels themselves. You put that together, this mix sounds very, very hardware-like, you know, maybe even like the actual hardware console. And I don't care who wants to argue with me over that. I think that this shit sounds like hardware when I'm done with it, and I'm happy with that. That's the sound that I like. That's the sound that I'm going for. And I like the vibe. It has a cool vibe, and I dig it. And at the same time, it's just the right amount. It's not too much. In this case, I use what do they call it? I use I fucked up, so I had to do this over again. But I use this preset called G Style. I know that it's based on the G series, but it's actually vintage. It's just a 4000. I don't know if it's a G or an E, but what's the difference between that when it comes to summing? Like nothing, right? The differences in the G and the E series SSL 4000 was in the EQ, and maybe some computer stuff that's not even related to what we're doing here. So it's giving you the sound. The harmonics is turned off because that's variable harmonics. So variable harmonic distortion, that's when you go on a monitor and you're going to try to emulate the duality, then you can play around with the harmonics. But this is still giving you harmonics. You have drive right here. This preset gives you, the drive is at 6, noise is at 50%, crosstalk is in between 0 and 25%. And apparently that's pretty close to what probably the hardware console is doing. The hardware, the console, they created the preset on. But the state space, which is with PreSonus or whatever, they modeled that console characteristics very well. here, characters at 1, which means we're running the audio through the console one time. If we go up to 2.5, that'll be 2.5 times. And there's times where you might want to do that. And the reason why you would want to do that is if you're trying to recreate the sound of a certain era, like say like music that was produced or mixed or whatever, like in the 90s or something, where let's say you're going we talk about Dr. Dre a lot, right? You go for a Dr. Dre sound. Well, Dr. Dre didn't do track through the Neve and mix through the SSL. A lot of the times it was track through the SSL, then mix through it too, right? So it's going to have 2 times, because that's going to go to tape, and then it's going to, you know what I'm saying? Then you're going to take the multi-track tape and you're going to go mix from there. And usually that you're going to have like at least 2 times the character of that console coming through. So it's nice just to take that knob, just throw it in the middle, to emulate the fact that you had ran it through the console a couple times, one during tracking, one during mixing. And you'll get closer to the character or the type of sound that you might be aiming for that particular project. Otherwise, in this case, I believe that this guy already did some kind of tracking process, because the sound sounds so good. Either that or he's got really good sounds. Maybe he just bought really good sounds. He's got really good synths. But they seem to already be pretty damn good. Like, it's ready for mixing. So that's why I'm not going to do 2.5 character, or another process I was going to do was going to throw it in FL Studio first, just to, now I was going to throw the, what do they call it, the Slate Digital virtual mix rack over that, just use Slate VCC, and I was going to just, basically give it some Neve color across the whole mix. And then, and that was really to just kind of tame some harshness, so that I have some pretty decent tracks to start with. And then I was gonna export those tracks, and I was gonna import it into this session, which then I would be doing one-time character on an SSL console, because we're just running it through the SSL. So, and of course, the insert here, pre-fader, is the Townhouse bus compressor. It's just an SSL bus compressor, like what would be on the center section of the SSL console. In this case, the settings that I have here, I have to I don't want to be mixed. Some people mix into it. I just don't. I like to glue it at the end. Whatever, right? Fucking no one has to follow rules. I prefer to glue it at the end, because I prefer to do my mix and then add a little mix glue and then kind of go back over it one more time if need be, but usually I don't, because this is very subtle. This is not like an aggressive thing. So I like to mix it first, but other people like to mix into the glue. But the problem that I have with that is, you may start driving that compressor a little too hard, pushing things a certain way, and you have to back off on it. And just, for me, I prefer to just add the glue at the end, because I'm aiming for 2 decibels gain reduction anyway. So there it is. So anyway, enough of me talking, man. Let's get this shit done. Let's go. If you guys want me to explain what I'm doing, what I did here, track by track here. So the first thing I did is I set my compression, in this case 4 to 2, fast release, apply threshold till I see 3 decibels gain reduction light come on, or unless I'm hearing some horrible ducking, then I'll back off on it a little bit. I turn on the pre-DYN light, which means that I'm going to EQ into my compressor, and then EQ, left everything very standard. These are very broad brush EQ, moves. They're not, I can be surgical, I guess, if I need to be, but I don't see a point in doing that. You already heard how those drums already sounded pretty good just right off the bat. So I'm just doing very, very subtle moves, add a little bit more bass because it just sounds good to me, and very, very small moves on the top, if at all. So, in this case, I did a little bit. And I'm keeping shelves. I'm not using bell curves on this one. All right, on to the next track. We're gonna go to bass now. This has a really cool like rhythm, you know. It's a very unique rhythm I haven't heard before, but it's really cool. I really like the kind of that offset kind of groove that it has. This is a very fun one, man. This dude's got some fire, man. All right, let's continue. Oh, by the way, all drums 4:2 ratio, fast release. That's the compression ratios. All right, let's go. Dude, I love this beat, man. Dude, this producer is fire, man. I love this kind of music, man. You guys can send me this shit all day long, dude. I love this because this caters to my desire to make things warm and clean at the same time. Like, this is the perfect kind of music for the kind of way that I like to mix. So, I know you're watching, man. Send me more. I love mixing this, man. This is really, really fire, dude. I love this. All right. But hey, guys, though, if you're like rock bands, I don't care, country, anything, send it to me, man. I'll mix it. Put it on my channel, man. You get to see the process. See how I do. Of course, you watch my other videos, but then, like I said, other people can see how I'm getting it done. Like I said, I don't overthink this process at all. I know, like, you're looking at this and going, I could do this myself. You can, right? But why would you, right? When you can focus on being creative. Let me handle this shit. Now, I'm also like, my monitors here, I have HS5s. That's what I have, the Yamaha HS5. So it's kind of like a shrunk down NS10 in a way. And it's got a similar EQ response to that. Now, what about my room? That doesn't matter. My monitors are up against the wall. So the room is not playing yeah, I know you can hear it on the microphone, but the room is not playing any kind of what do you call it? The room is not doing anything to the sound. Like, it's not clouding my judgment. The monitors are near the wall, and on top of it all, I mean, I'm used to way music sounds in this room, so there's also that. So that's better than mixing with cans, which is, I've done this in other videos, right? Mix with headphones. And I think I get an okay mix, but like I said, here, I'm not doing major moves. I'm not playing surgery here. I think maybe if I had to be surgical, then I'd probably put headphones on and I would really, really, get down in the weeds. These sounds are already really good, man. I'm just sweetening them and giving them a little level. The thing I like about the SSL is the compressor really, really gets things really focused sounding and makes them much bigger, than that's the thing about SSL, right? It's always really, you can get a massive sound out of an SSL. And with these SSL emulating plugins, basically, we're getting that sound out of it. And especially the Brainworks ones really, really do a good job at making things sound large and in charge. So I really like the way that compressor responds, and I really like the sound that I'm getting right now. And this is one fire beat, dude. Fire ass beat, bro. I love it. All right, let's go. Let me explain too, on instruments, I tend to go to 2.2 compression ratio because I want a lighter compression on instruments. I don't really want to be crushing transients and bucking everything up. I really want to kind of get the sound in a good place. And then I want to EQ into the compressor to get some nice harmonics and nice tone. And that's all I'm doing. That's what I'm doing with the sounds. I am not going fucking apeshit crazy with compression. I know in some other videos I talk about how Dr. Dre does things at very high compression ratios or to the point where he's limiting. Once again, I'm going very, very subtle. I'm not smashing anything. And that's to make sure that everything sounds... There's plenty of compression already being done here, right? You don't have to overcompress things. The whole idea, though, is to make your sound clear and clean and warm, right? So they have a real good... They sound... Because when you hear it that way, man, the vibe is so good, right? It's audio candy. When you listen to that, like with headphones, anything, just sounds like candy, man, to your ears, and it's wonderful. And we are kind of missing that candy-like quality in today's music. But that's what I'm here for, guys, to show you guys how to do it so you can do it, right? Then when you can do it, thankfully, then the music might start getting better again, right? That's the plan. I love this beat so far, man. It is wonderful, man. This kind of stuff I'd love to hear this. Like, you know what I can imagine myself on this particular track is like nighttime in the city, just driving on the freeway, maybe I'm not at the club anymore, or not that, maybe not even a club, maybe I worked late and I'm just driving home and I'm just trying to relax on my way home, just to kind of decompress, and I'm gonna get home, have dinner, relax, go to sleep, and I just want to just have something that's just a nice vibe while I'm on the freeway. That's this kind of music right here. This is perfect. Just relaxing and just stress relieving music, dude. I love this. All right, I'm gonna continue. Here I go. You know, Manny Marroquin talks about knowing when to not do something. In this case, this lead synth, EQ-wise, sounds perfect to me, so I'm not going to do any EQ. So I just applied the compressor, and then I balanced the sound, and that's good enough for me. Like, I don't need to do any EQ to this. Okay, man, that's done. People are like, why aren't you panning stuff, right? Because I don't need to. I check the phase correlation meter, man, and there's like a lot of stereo width going on in here, so I don't need to be doing that. I didn't create any buses. What's the point, right? There's no reason. It's not like this is a big session or anything, so I didn't create any buses. Besides, people who do that, then they add more compressors, and just everything becomes just a smashed pancake. And I like a track to breathe. There's plenty of compression here, but I like the track to breathe. In this case, I think now everything sounds pretty good. I'm going to print this mix. We're going to make another video now. We're going to show the mastering process, which is a kind of an easy mastering process, right? And why not? We're going to leverage our tools and whatnot. We're going to have a good, easy mastering process. And I think because this song has a lot of really nice sparkly transients and stuff, I don't want this to be like super loud, right? So when I master this, I'm going to be aiming for, I'm probably going to go for like a streaming, like -14 LUFS. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I want to make sure that all the transient information in this is preserved. I don't want to make this like a smashed loud ass thing unless he asks for it. Like if he goes, hey bro, that sounds wonderful, but can you master that louder? Fine, I'll go back and master it over again and make it louder. But otherwise, I'm going to try to preserve the audio as good as I can, right? I don't want to smash anything. I already didn't smash anything hardly with compressors. There is compression on every track. There's compressor on the master bus. But at the same time, I think this track breathes really well. And I want to make sure that that quality is not eliminated during the mastering process. So if you like this video and you like videos like it, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Of course, like I said, that helps me out. Helps me grow my channel, but also that helps you out because you get this information before anyone else does. Obviously, though, be patient. Like the HD version of the video is in processing usually for 2 hours. So after you get the notification, you probably just set a Google reminder or something. Be like, hey, 2 hours from now, tell me to watch the video. The Vigilante Styles mixing video. Okay, and then it'll remind you in 2 hours, and then when you get your notification on your phone, to go ahead and check out the video. You'll be the first one then to see the version in HD. And that's how you want to see this, because you want to be able to see the plugins, the numbers. Though, here's the thing. I've learned this too over time. I can show you guys everything that I do, and while it doesn't look very hard or whatever, there's still the kind of like, why am I making these moves? Personal taste. I listen to certain kinds of music that have this kind of quality, and I go, oh, this is what I want. It's personal taste. So even though somebody knows my process and somebody knows my chains and knows all this stuff, they still don't know why I make a certain move in a mix. And that's really what separates engineers from each other. It's not the tools that we're using. It's not our rooms. It's none of that stuff. It's your taste. And that's what people are paying you for. They go, I love the taste in your the mixes you're getting, and the taste in plugins or hardware or whatever you're getting out of it, and I want that on my record. And that's what you're paying these engineers for. You're not paying them to do, I want you to spend more time and use more plugins because I feel like you didn't do enough work on this. No, this is about personal taste. You hired that engineer because you like his taste. He's getting a mix that you like. Let him work the way that he works, whether he's doing a lot or very little. He's getting a sound that you want, and he'll make sure that your record sounds the way that he would want it to sound. And in that, but also the way you want it to sound, right? I mean, you're the artist, right? So the artist obviously is going to have certain requirements, but I would not burden your engineer though with like trying to copy a record. Let's imagine like you're a hip hop dude or something, or trap or whatever, and you go, I want you to make it sound exactly like a whatever Little Durk track, Well, that engineer might go, I don't really like the quality of Little Durk's music. I don't know why you would want me to do that. Or they're probably using like Soundgodizer on FL Studio and just slapping it on everything. I don't know why you would want me to do that. If you want me to, then just get somebody who does that, right? Then why would you hire an engineer who does not mix music in that fashion? and force them to do something that they're not comfortable doing, because now they're not making their own decisions. They're making your decisions for you. And if that's the case, just mix your own shit. I mean, that's really what it is at the end of the day. Mix your own shit then, you know, if it's going to be like that, you know. Otherwise, you're hiring the engineer for his taste. And that engineer might say, I think on your record, this sounds good, you know. But the engineer will try to take into account that, hey, you could probably give him this. Like, hey, here's a bunch of tracks or whatever. We're doing like this cover or whatever of a 70s song or something. Can you try to give it a vintage vibe? Got you, bro, right? I'll do the best I can. I'll try to make it sound vintage. Cool, man. Hell yeah, bro. You know, that kind of stuff. Or just do you. I think that's the best thing you can tell your engineers, man. If you pick go and pick your engineer, right? If you're an artist watching this and you're just wanting to mix your own shit and then you're kind of like, no, maybe I need an engineer. Pick an engineer that gets you the sound that you like, right? Goes, oh, I like the way he mixes shit. That's the kind of sound I'm going for. Hire that engineer and then just tell him, hey, bro, do you, right? Do whatever you think is necessary to make this thing sound fire, right? I'm giving you complete freedom to make this shit sound the way that you would do it, because that's what I want. I want your vibe. So do what you would do. And boom, that's it. That's the best. Then you'd be the best client in the world, because it's like, well, dude, he's giving me freedom. Like, I don't have to be. Another thing too is like, I guess the thing that pissed me off about certain artists is they ride your ass, dude. And it's usually the ones that don't pay very much. You know what I'm saying? Like the cheap ass motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? They ride your ass a lot, man. Like about like the you know, my vocal is one millimeter of fucking volume, needs to be that just a tiny bit louder. Like, dude, retarded, right? Like, because they're comparing their record to another record that they like but might not be mixed very well, and they're trying to capture that sound. They're not trying to just sound good. They're trying to sound like their favorite rapper, because they are. Then to me, you're not dealing with an artist at that point. You're just dealing with a stan. You know what I'm saying? You're dealing with like a super stan who's like for instance, like a dude who's like a big Eminem fan. That's why I mentioned stan, and he's like, he wants his record to sound exactly like Eminem's, you know, Slim Shady LP or whatever. You know, it's like, I need it to sound just like that. I want my vocals to sound like Eminem. I want to do everything like Eminem. I need, you know, in this case, probably Lil Durk nowadays. Oh, I want a Lil Durk type beat. I'm going to rap like Lil Durk, but it's going to be my voice, but I want it to be mixed. I want it to sound just like Lil Durk's albums. So when I hear Lil Durk and I hear me, I feel like I got it. And then they think that they're next big thing in hip hop because they can copy Lil Durk so well. Well, in that case, unfortunately, though, that doesn't mean anything, right? Like, Lil Durk is him, and he's famous, so why copy him, right? Do you? So the big suggestion here, I think, is like an artist, you pick your engineer and you tell him, do you? Do whatever you think sounds right. And then you might have a revision. You go, you know, it is my song, and I would like to hear those hats a little bit louder, but otherwise everything's perfect. Can you go and fix that real quick? And I would, especially if your engineer's doing mixing and mastering, don't let him master it first and then send it to you. He's got to master it over again. Let him send you the mix and be open-minded of the fact that the mix should be quieter. Like, I would have a strong issue if the engineer sent me the song and it's slammed. I'm like, dude, I can't hear how you mix that. You slammed it with the limiter. And I think you should you should request that your engineer sends you the non-limited file. So it should be quieter so you can hear the actual mix. And then you can make your judgments from there. Because during mastering, they're going to make it loud. They're going to do all sorts of stuff to it. And it's going to sound a little different. But otherwise, don't make him master it, because then he's got to go through that process again just because you want to make a change, you know, in the mix process. So communicate with your engineer, man. Have your engineer be like, hey, man, when you're done with the mix, don't master it yet. Send me the mix and let me hear that mix. And then if that mix is on point or whatever, then we'll go. Then you go do your mastering, and I want to hear the master. Also, maybe you might have some revisions on that too. But anyway, it's your boy Vigilante Styles, man. Let's go to the mastering video, and I'm out. Peace.